Okay, we're back again. Let's try it again. Okay, let's make sure the Periscope is working, the YouTube Live is working, and everything else is working, and then we'll begin. Hello. Hey, everyone. Hey. Happy Monday. Okay, let's make sure the Periscope is working. Okay, now. Okay, can you guys hear me now? Perfecto. It is Monday morning, May 20th. God, I can't believe it's May 20th already, right? Or is it May 21st? It is May 21st, which is crazy. It is almost going into Gemini, and I'm a Taurus, so my birthday has already passed a few weeks ago, and it's great to see everybody. Welcome, welcome. Welcome to Make Love Great Again. I'm your host, Red Pilled Relationship Coach DeAnna Lorraine, and author of my book, Making Love Great Again, now available on Amazon. What I was saying earlier was that I am in progress with the recording of my audio version of the book. And I've been asked so many times, when's your audio book going to be ready? When's it going to be ready? So for those people who are really excited about the audio version of the book, it will be ready within the next month. So I will make a huge announcement when I'm ready and when it's almost ready, so y'all can pick up your audio version of the book. I know many of you guys listen to audios on the way to work and whatever. Thank you for the loves. Thank you for the loves. And what I was saying was I'm wearing my, if anyone was wondering what this shirt says, it says, I stand for the national anthem, because I always stand for the national anthem. And then I'm wearing my really cool Trump socks. Trump socks. Who here likes Trump socks? I do. And my next purchase, for those of you who care, my next purchase are going to be this. These leggings are what I'm going to be purchasing next. Do you like these leggings? I think they're pretty cool. They're going to be ballsy to wear, but I think they'd be fun to wear. Yes, yes. How's everyone's weekend? Thank you. Thanks, guys. Yeah, me personally, I love wearing MAGA wear. Who doesn't like wearing MAGA wear? MAGA wear makes you feel like a rebel, even though you're really not a rebel. You're just saying, I love America, I love this country, and I love our president. Why can't we make America great again without it sounding like rebellious? Some crazy thing. Awesome leggings. If you got balls, you'll wear them, DeAnna. Yes, absolutely, Spinker. You're talking like a genius. Dum, dum, dum. You look amazing. Thank you. Wear those when you go to vote. Yeah, I'll definitely be wearing these when I go to vote. Trump. Favorite. So, who here watched the royal wedding this weekend? Anybody watch the royal wedding? I only watched a little bit of it. I think there were a couple things this weekend that I was really confused about, or really more so like thinking that this is just one giant distraction. And one of them was the whole Yanni Laurel thing that happened on Friday. The whole country was up in arms about, is it Yanni or is it Laurel? Is it say Yanni or Laurel? And the first thing I saw when I woke up to that, and it was like everyone was talking about it, distraction. Distraction 101. Why are they distracting us, and what are they distracting us from? That's what I was trying to figure out, because it definitely seemed like a big circus, and everyone on the news was talking about, do you hear Yanni or do you hear Laurel? And it just sounded so stupid and fake. I resisted even hearing what it was until later in the day, at nighttime even. And I'm like, okay, I'm just going to see what this stupid thing is about. And just like I suspected, it was a stupid thing. It was really stupid. Who cares when we have so many more important things in the world to deal with and to talk about? And then And then the royal wedding was, I felt like another big distraction circus. And I watched it, and to me, I don't know about you guys, but I felt like it looked more like a funeral than a wedding. Everyone was so somber. Everyone was so like doom and gloom almost, and the expression on Prince Harry's face seemed like he was just like tired, like he had stayed up all night doing something. He seemed tired and just not the way I would want my husband to look on my wedding day. And same with her. Didn't they just look like, hi, like kind of dead, not excited, like bored? And everyone else in the audience seemed like kind of bored. I've never seen a wedding like that before. Mostly people are just so excited. They're happy. They're laughing. They can't contain their excitement. The bride and groom can't contain their excitement. And there's energy there. I didn't feel the energy in that room though. I felt like this like darker energy. So what do you think's going on? The new bride is celebrated for being a feminist. What is Yanni and Laurel? I'd rather listen to Jerry Reed play songs like Amos Moses and other country singers. Getting tired of YouTube changing their logo to random events like Google and their unimportant birthdays of people nobody knows. Yeah, they never change anything for Easter though, have you noticed? They don't change anything for Easter. Mm-hmm. It's really silly. Brits are always serious. Yeah, but it just seemed really strange. It was like, what are they marrying into? Maybe not, but to me, it kind of felt like it was all for show. Tucker Carlson is my boy, Johnny Bravo. He's my favorite. I love him. I watch him every night. No one should be celebrated for being a feminist. I know. Meghan Markle's to fight for feminism. New Duchess of Sussex given palace blessing. Ugh, gosh. So apparently Meghan Markle, she declared herself a feminist on the British monarchy's website. Ugh. Kill me now. Kill me now. She's all for fighting for feminists. She's all for fighting for women's rights and equality and equity. I'd like to see this go down. So this is probably why they're using her. Political pawns. I just get so tired of seeing the same thing over and over and over. Feminism, feminism, feminism. Let's fight for feminism. Meghan Markle to fight for feminism. New Duchess of Sussex given palace blessing to champion women's rights. What rights do we not have that we're fighting for? I don't get it. Could someone clue me in? Because I don't know, there's other countries in the world where women are actually treated like second-class citizens, where female genital mutilation is actually common practice, and where there really is a cruel patriarchy of pushing down women and oppressing women. But I don't see that in the U.S. What rights are they fighting for? Women's rights that we don't already have. I would love to know. If someone could clue me in. That would be great. I'll wait. Has anyone seen Suits? Was she good? She actually was good in Suits. I think she's pretty hot. I mean, I thought she was really, really hot in Suits. Pretty good. That's when I first noticed her. Oops. Is my stream interrupted or is it fine? Okay, so a couple more things in the news today that I found interesting. So let's look at this. Yes. All right. Tomboy. What is tomboy? Well, let's look at what tomboy is. It's the next feminist excitement. Yeah. Tomboy X launches an underwear collection, of course, that is none other than shade, gender, and size inclusive. Okay, let's look at Tomboy X. Yikes! Is this a woman? Whoa. Okay, this is not a woman. This is a very large woman. Yowzers. All right, let's see what they have to say, what this stupid garbage has to say. In the last few years, many brands have finally started to realize that nude is not a one-size-fits-all color. Thanks to collections like Savage X Fenty's and Aerie's Real Me that have offered nude underwear for a range of skin tones, no longer is the only option a beige shade that only matches the skin tone of a few. This week, Tomboy X is taking things one step further. I don't want to wear lingerie that says tomboy in it. I want to have sexy lingerie. Neutrals that is complexion, size, and gender inclusive, and we are here for it. Of course you are, Teen Vogue, leftist Teen Vogue. The brand's neutrals line come in 5 different shades, blah, blah, blah. Let's get into more interesting stuff. Both the bras and underwears run from size XS to 4X in every size, and it's meant to be worn by men. This body is given to you. True inclusivity means it's meant for everyone, which is exactly what the Tomboy X collection embodies. What happened to girls and boys just having some of their own things? I'm sorry, but I don't want to see lingerie on a man. I don't. I just don't. Do you guys? I'm just tired of this. Why can't we have something? And it's going to be in 5 years, there's just going to be this gender-free hodgepodge. No gender, everything's going to be all melted together. And then I think women will be kind of upset that they campaign for this because they'll say, everywhere we look, there's just this neutrality. I can't tell if it's a boy, I can't tell if it's a girl. Even when I'm going to Starbucks or to the local mall, I'm starting to see more and more children and teenagers walking by me that I have no idea what their sex is. I don't know if it's male. I don't know if it's female. They have short hair. They kind of look like a guy, but they kind of look like a girl. And I don't like it. Don't like all this neutrality. And then something else. Here's what I can't stand. It's not, remember when the LGBT movement used to just be about equal rights or about marriage, let's have LGBT marry, in America. It's no longer about just that. And we know that, though. It's about dominance and it's about subverting our Western traditional values and shoving the LGBT liberal values down everyone's throats, whether they like it or not. It's not just about acceptance anymore. It's about dominance and it's about normalization. So anyone with views outside of LGBT views, anyone who dares to believe in God's principles that men and women make the ultimate marriage and relationship, and that God truly intended for a relationship between a man and a woman, heterosexuality, and anything outside of that, while we can accept it and love it as Christians, it is not to be the norm. It is not to be necessarily the norm. But that's going out the window. That concept of common sense is going out the window now. This is a pretty scary article, but this shows you that the UN, every time they cloak it as something different than it is, as something benign, something innocuous, but it never is. No one should believe in the importance of the UN anymore. It's an absolute front. It's a shit show. U.S. poses danger to free speech, parents' rights. Here's how Trump administration can fight back. So look at where all our hard-earned tax dollars are being spent. A dangerous alliance between UN, bureaucrats, and LGBT activists. Of course, they're always weaseling their way in. So now they're, partnered heavily with the United Nations, poses a new danger to free speech, free exercises of religion, and parental rights, not just for Americans, but people around the world. Under the leadership of Secretary of State Mike Pompeo, and that just talks about what they hope that they would do, they're doing this with zero authority. None of these concepts of sexual orientation and gender identity are contained in any of the international treaties that the UN is authorized to enforce. Nothing. But the liberal left continues to push their radical agenda. Now these policies are threatening to cost our rights, and the U.S. could foot the bill. The U.S., is responsible for 22% of the United Nations total budget. They contributed $10 billion to the UN in 2006 alone, 16. And this is where our taxpayer dollars are going. It's going to the UN, which the UN is now partnered with LGBT, and creating a liberal agenda, very liberal agenda. Here's one of the most egregious examples of bureaucratic overreach, which occurred in the UN Office of the High Commissioner for Human Rights. Rather than focus on the UN General Assembly's mandate to promote and protect the effective enjoyment of fundamental human rights that are in the text of treaties, the UN office launched the Free and Equal campaign. See, that's more of the same thing, free and equal, 100% equality for all. This highly visible and well-funded global campaign aims to socialize same-sex marriage, criminalize so-called hate speech, which hate speech is extremely subjective, and normalize transgender ideology. But none of this, even though these terms of sexual orientation and gender identity, they're not in the text of any UN treaties. The UN wasn't supposed to be created to normalize these kinds of things in our societies, and normalize and push these ideologies. But it is, and it's an extreme overreach by the UN bureaucracy. And it threatens to silence public debate on controversial topics like marriage and sexuality throughout the world. And this is just the beginning. This makes me so sick because there's just no way to get away from it. It's all over the place and it's in the UN. This is the master plan of the United Nations to make us just one giant socialist, gender neutral, gender free state, a world controlled government. They're attempting to impose their ideology in subtler ways, too. The addition of the sexual orientation and gender identity categories to interpretations of them, non-discrimination in UN treaties may seem innocuous, but it is fraught with the potential to harm fundamental rights. Yeah, so never think that this is something that's innocuous, because UN is just a part of the same deep state. LGBT Vision for Action that explicitly endorsed the dangerous concept of hate speech, and the Obama administration endorsed this approach. So you can read this article. It's very scary. Parents' rights are also at stake. Sexual orientation and gender identity and ideologies as implications for family too. And this directly conflicts with the fundamental right of parents to educate their children in accordance with their religious and moral beliefs. So so it says to develop inclusive curriculums and learning materials, nurturing respect and understanding for gender diversity. So this is, it's very scary. And I know that in some countries, I believe in Sweden or Germany, correct me if I'm wrong, they're pushing for children's rights. And that's one of the most frightening things ever, is children's rights. Because what they're doing is trying to separate as much as possible the right for parents to educate their own children and to raise their own children. Because once they develop children's rights, it's all over, folks. It's all over. That's when you can separate legally the parent from the child, and you can essentially say, hey, children, they have rights. So at 5 years old, if you want to identify as gay or as transgender or gender binary, a non-binary, you can do that. Because you, as a child, have that right to. And your parents can't say anything about it. And if they disagree with you, and if they actually want to continue to raise you as a heterosexual, cisgender individual, you can basically say F your parents and go out on your own and find some new parents that will support you in your quest for gender identity, for gender-free expression. They can basically say that the teachers will take over parenting because you're not fit for a parent. And they can even criminalize the parents for not supporting their child's views. That is the scariest thing I've ever heard, because we're basically letting children run their own lives. They're letting the children dictate whatever they think is right for them. And we know that children can't do that. They're not able to do that. They're too young to understand adult concepts and adult consequences on their lives. This is why we don't allow children to vote or children to drive, So it's a very simple concept, but unfortunately, they are pushing for children's rights in certain parts of Europe, and it's probably going to spill over to the US as well. And of course, LGBT will be all over it. Liberals will be all over it, thinking this is so great that children can have their own set of rights. Little do they know that will probably be the nail in the coffin to the end of our society. Can you repeat the children thing, DeAnna? Children's rights. Let me see if I can get you exact verbiage on that. Okay. Let's see. Children's rights. The full list of rights for children and young children under the age of 18 is set out uh, in the United Nations conventions on up. So again, yeah, it's the United Nations that are pushing this. Of course, the United Nations, because they have an agenda. Yeah, so the United Nations is the one pushing the children's rights. Um, for our next podcast, I will get the exact verbiage of this and the whole history of the children's rights. But they're pushing hard for it, and that's very scary. And here's some other things. So this is why it's always like a slippery slope. If you don't think about the slippery slope argument, you're really in the wrong. So this is really sad. So this is an adoption center. It's a Catholic adoption provider in Illinois, and they're doing a great thing. They're basically rescuing children that have been abused or neglected or whose parents died from opioid overdoses. And they're giving them to heavily vetted Catholic couples or Catholic Christian-based couples. And they've been a family-run business for the past decade. But unfortunately, liberal activists have targeted faith-based adoption agencies, of course, if they do not assist same-sex couples who wish to adopt. Through lawsuits and legislation, these activists have gave faith-based agencies an ultimatum: comply with politically correct views on sexuality and marriage and place children with homosexual couples or shut down. Faced with this dilemma, Steve Roach, executive director of Catholic Charities for the Diocese of Springfield in Illinois, sadly closed the foster care and adoption programs he ran in the state. This is so sad. He said he estimated that 3,000 children have been affected, and thousands of foster parents will no longer be part of this great system. And they prided themselves on their history and their heavy vetting system. And it's their choice to give children to only parents and couples with Christian values, with Christian-based values. But no, of course, the LGBT mob had to influence them, had to go in and rip this beautiful center down because they would not give children to homosexual couples because they simply didn't believe in that. They don't believe in that. And it should be their right to do that. So the founder of this Catholic charity, Catholic-based adoption agency, said that they were definitely forced out of foster care and adoption. And this was called the Religious Freedom Protection and Civil Unions Act. The language in that law required that all agency providing the service must place children in the homes of same-sex couples. Man, it's just crazy. Why couldn't the LGBT couples just go to a different agency that supported same-sex marriage? Why do they have to choose specifically and target these Catholic and these faith-based adoption agencies? This is what I cannot stand about this. It is a mob. My faith in our religion believes in the definition of marriage as between a man and a woman, and we could not abide by that new state requirement. So after 50 years of providing quality foster care for children, for tens of thousands of children all across Illinois, the state said, well, if you do not surrender that religious belief, you will be eradicated. And that's what happened. So unfortunately, with this Catholic faith-based adoption agency, they sadly had to close its doors. How sad is that? And I think that they have every right to be able to give their children to whom they want, right? I mean, why can't they have every right to do that? That just makes me sad. It's time for political correctness to die. Yes, Samuel, I agree. John Galt Gus, that was a legitimate question. Don't appreciate being limited. I did not hear your question or see your question, unfortunately. This is prosecution of Christians. How is this legal? I know. Well, Christians are the most persecuted group of people right now. But of course, they don't highlight this at all. They don't put this in the media. No one talks about this because they're trying to force everyone to not only allow their practices, but to validate and agree with their homosexual beliefs. Yep. It is crazy. And then I don't know if any of you saw this, but last night on TLC aired a new series called Lost in Transition. I watched it. I was riveted by it. I didn't think I was going to watch it, but I thought it was very interesting. Lost in Transition chronicles families that are, couples that have been married for a while. They have families together and everything. And then the man says, guess what? I really feel like a woman inside. I'm a transgender, and I'm probably going to start transitioning into a woman. So now these families are completely shattered by this decision. I mean, the wives are like, wait a second, I thought I married a man, and now you're telling me after 20 years of marriage that I married a woman, or I married a man who wants to become a woman? What impact does this have on our lives and our family, our relationship? It's so sad. So let's watch just a little preview of this for those of you who haven't seen it. It's I think it's pretty sad, and I don't know how to feel about it. Did anyone watch Lost in Transition last night on TLC?
For 22 years, our relationship was really a relationship that other people envied.
I knew that Troy was the man that I always hoped for.
For 22 years, our relationship was really a relationship that other people envied.
I knew that Troy was the man that I always hoped for.
The night that Les told me is really blurry.
He told me that he was a girl.
He said that he was transgender.
I had no idea. None.
All of a sudden, everything that you know, all of a sudden everything's different.
I don't feel like I know you anymore. My husband is transitioning into a woman.
It's so crazy.
I didn't fall in love with a boy. I fell in love with someone pretending to be a boy.
I deserve to be with the person I love.
He came into the relationship with a lie. I just wanted to punch him in the face.
His transition has been awful painful. I don't care. We aren't getting along.
I am worried, even if we get through the transition, that she's not going to make it.
You hijacked my damn mental health.
It's not about you! We just flushed our relationship down the toilet.
Wow. That's crazy. So after 22 years of marriage, these people are, and 4 children later, all of a sudden, the husband says, I think I'm actually a girl, and I'm going to start the process of transitioning. And now all of a sudden the wife is going to start calling him her and she, and calling him by his female name that he made up. I mean, I could not imagine the devastation of that. And not only does that, completely ruin the marriage and the beautiful family that you had, but imagine how effed up your spouse is going to be after this for the rest of their life. They're going to have to be like, yeah, it didn't work out with my husband because they turned into a female and transitioned. I mean, I don't know. If is it selfish? Is it what do you think it is? I mean, because I do believe that there's legitimate transgender people out there and people with genuine gender dysphoria, but what is the right answer? I don't know. As a Christian, it's hard to say, like, does that person, should they just be required to live with their gender dysphoria their whole life and feeling like they're trapped in the wrong body? I don't know. It's just like all wreckage can come from this. They're basically wrecking an entire family. And maybe that person just shouldn't marry because they know that they're harboring this huge lie, this huge secret. This lunacy makes me want to hit something like a bag or shoot something. Yes, Samuel. That relationship won't last. What kind of husband shuns his responsibility to be so selfish? Chris Jackson. Yes, so you agree with me. You think it's selfish. So he's basically like 4 children, a wife of 22 years, and now he wants to transition into female. I agree. I think it's selfish. Deception is running wild right now. The culture embraces every form of deception which comes along. I also think that, here's what I think. I think that the coming out of Bruce Jenner as Caitlyn Jenner 2 years ago and having him be completely glorified by the media and win the Courage Award and in Sports Illustrated, and now he's totally glorified as the celebrity of courage and strength. He came out. That is the hardest thing to do. It takes so much courage. And now that he's glorified, and then now they're documenting more shows of men coming out as women and transitioning into women, I think that that's making it, again, it's normalizing this sickness, really. And it's saying, it's giving these guys more freedom to do that. So they're like, well, Bruce Jenner did it. All these other people are coming out and they feel so much better afterwards. Why not me? I think I'm going to start doing that too. Whereas before it just would really be really frowned upon. But they don't realize the magnitude of what they're ruining, of the lives that they're affecting when they do this. It's a sham of a marriage and a family. Samuel says, it sounds like what the Bible refers to as given over to a retrobate mind. I forget the specific verse. Pretty sure if it weren't for someone like Bruce Jenner, yes, I agree. We both jinx. The pussification of America. Caitlyn is the ugliest thing I've seen for real. Well, here's the funny thing. Let me see if I can find pictures of these guys. But the 3 guys that are on the show that are transitioning into females, I hate to say it, but they're like the least attractive men. I mean, these are not going to make pretty women. One of the guys is 6'6". 6'6". The other guy is kind of a bigger guy. Like he could make kind of a manly man. He could make a decent looking man. But no way in hell could he make a good woman. Yeah, they have a 25% high suicide rate. 25%. 25%. Okay, so this is one of the guys. Hold on. I'm like, guys, I think that you're going to be happier as men. Trust me. Like, they think somehow they're going to turn into this, like, beautiful women. I don't think so. I'm sorry. I don't think so. You're gonna be probably more disappointed when you turn into a woman and realize that, yikes, you're not a very attractive woman. The other guy's like in his 60s, and he's also not very attractive. I hate to say it. There's some guys that I could be like, okay, I could maybe see you looking like a woman. But these guys, I don't see how they're going to be happier. I really don't get it. This is why I really do feel like it's a sickness. Okay. One more and then we'll move on. So this guy right here, he's about 6'6". You're telling me that he's going to make a good woman right there? Like, look at the height differential. I don't think he's going to make a very attractive
22
woman.
years. Our relationship was really a relationship that other people envied.
And then let's see the other guy.
I knew that Troy was
This
the
guy.
man that I always hoped for.
I don't think so. Not going to make a very good
The
woman.
night that Les told me
This guy.
is really blurry. He told me that he was a girl.
He said that he was transgender.
I had no idea.
I mean, come on.
All of a sudden,
Yes.
I am worried, even if we...
You hijacked my damn mental health.
It's not about you! We just flushed our relationship.
That guy, I don't think you're going to make a very pretty woman. I'm really sorry, but stay as a man.
Down the toilet.
So anyways, I'm just disgusted with all of this. This is just running wild and I hate it. DJ, I think you're on to something. DJ, that's not a coincidence, DeAnna. Unattractive male, undesirable equals diluted identity and more confusion. That might be true. So maybe because they're failing so much as a man, unattractive, right? So then they think, oh, maybe the solution is I'm in the wrong body. Maybe I need to transition into a female. Maybe I'll get better results as a female. But sadly, little do they know that, honey, you're not going to make a very attractive female either. And that guy is huge. You can't change your height. I think some male to female transgender see women's beauty as a superpower that they wish to attain via transition. Thanks to liberals, it will work because everyone will tell them it's cool. Wow. So true. So true. Gosh, that's crazy. Imagine a tranny locked up for life. The toll it would take on their image in the first few years. Those are good points. Exactly. Just like women who feel undesired, they will have the same complex. Yep. Gosh, that's just crazy. That is just sad. Well, we'll see what happens. I bet, sadly, I bet with after this show, there's going to be even more men coming out. Wowzers. In other news, U.S. fertility rates have plummeted into uncharted territory, and nobody knows why. Oh, okay, I think I can guess why. The U.S. birth rate has hit a new record low, with women in nearly every age group giving birth to fewer babies than a year ago. New figures show just 60 to 60.2 babies were born in 2017 for every 1,000 women of childbearing age, a low not seen in the U.S. since officials began charting national birth rates decades ago. The statistics contain a new provisional birth rate for 2017 released by the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, is what's called the general fertility rate. So now it is below replacement level. Okay? What is called replacement, the level of births need for a generation to replicate its population count. So we are now below replacement level, and nobody knows why. Nobody knows why. Oh man, I think I can tell you why. I'm going to tell you why the birth rate is at the record low for you geniuses out there who can't seem to understand that. The birth rate is at the record low for a number of reasons. Number one, nobody wants to marry anymore. People are not marrying because men have more to lose now for marriage than women do. So a lot of men are boycotting marriage, and a lot of men are saying, I'm going MGTOW. Men going their own way. Men going their own way is building at record speed every day for a couple of different reasons. So men are now starting to boycott marriage because it's becoming less and less desirable for men to be in marriage conditions. And they're starting to fear marriage and feel like, well, there's just such a big risk for me to potentially marry and then get screwed over financially or with my children. So that's number one. Number two, ladies, public service announcement, ladies are becoming more and more unattractive, more and more undateable and unmarriageable. So why would any man want to date, for instance, a feminist who is crazy, who has a nose ring in her nose, who has blue hair, shaved armpits, unshaved red armpits hairs, and looks like a dyke or looks like a man? Sorry, but no man wants to date that. So the feminist movement is turning women into nasty, ugly, angry, undateable, unmarriageable women. So it's no surprise that a lot of men aren't going to find that very appealing. A lot of men aren't going to find women who are very vile, screaming at them and making demands on men that are impossible to meet very appealing or very dateable. So if women are wondering why is this birth rate such at a record low, there's many reasons why. But women need to start understanding that the feminist movement is ruining them. It's creating a generation of women that are angry, vile, and bitter. And it's showing up on their outside too. You know that one of the most toxic things that you can engage in is anger and resentment and bitterness for a long period of time. When you have an inability to forgive someone, and you are remaining in anger and resentment and negative feelings, which is exactly what feminists are doing day by day. They're fighting to bring down this patriarchy, and they're constantly placing and projecting their anger towards men. When you are engaged in that in a long period of time, any mental health professional, any therapist will tell you that it's going to start revealing itself on the outside. It's going to manifest in different ways, like health problems, real health problems. It's going to jeopardize your physical health and degrade it. And it's going to show up in mental health issues, and it's going to start making you appear more aged, more ugly, and it's going to cut off your natural life force. When you are not in a loving space and you're in a hateful space, you're going to start feeling those physical effects, feeling physical illness. It creates illness. It literally does create cancer. So when we say feminism is cancer, it's a fact. It's literally creating cancers because your body is not designed to be in such a negative state for a long period of time. So this new feminist generation is creating cancerous, ugly, vile women on the inside and on the outside that are acting like dudes, like first-rate dudes, second-rate dudes, and acting like, just very vicious towards men. So no man in their right mind would typically want to marry that, right? And then a lot of men are getting this experience over and over that they don't, that they are starting to put all women in this category, and that's not true. Here's a couple things for the women to start doing differently. The women, if they want to actually have babies and have a chance at marrying a man, a good man, then here's some things that women can start doing differently. This is also in my book, Making Love Great Again, and it's in my chapter, A Roadmap for Women Making Love Great Again. So I go over my principles of radiance, and it's an acronym for a number of things and concepts that women should start putting into place. But we'll start with this. So I'll read some things that women need to do differently, because we all hear about the kinds of things that men need to do differently. If they want to attract and keep a great woman, there's a lot of things that I talk about for men to be able to do differently. But what is it that women should be doing differently? Number one is respect towards men, respecting men. Men need to feel respected, or else they're not going to feel like they want to date you or be married to you. So the first and foremost thing is respecting men. Yes, respect is earned, but you also can't expect, if you're not going to respect men, don't expect to get any respect from them. Okay? Second is being desired and desirable and desire men. Desire your man. Show him that you desire him. Show him that you want him. Show him that you're passionate about him. And keep yourself desirable. So men are, for the most part, at least at first, more visual creatures, right? They're first attracted to a woman's looks, her curves, her body, her boobs, her femininity and feminine essence. And men are typically, they're drawn to warm, receptive energy, and they typically run from women who appear like they have a lot of inner turmoil going on and are very negative and stressed out, which are most of feminists, right? Some women complain that it's sexist or it's superficial for men to care about women by their looks, but, this is just part of the natural primal mating game. If we're going to go that route, then women can be accused of being sexist or being too judgmental or superficial too, if they're looking for a man to be successful and to be a good provider. So we can both be accused of being superficial, Or we can just say it's in our human nature and this is just how we're designed. This is the mating game. So it's almost as if feminists are encouraging women to look as unattractive as humanly possible for men. For instance, the new trend encouraging women not to shave their legs or to grow out their armpit hair and even dye it red or purple. The new trend of free bleeding, encouraging women not to wear tampons on their periods or to show off their period blood through their pants and clothing to somehow display female empowerment. And the new trend of body positivity, teaching women that being overweight is just fine and dandy and even as babylicious as being in shape. But any or all things, you can do these as you wish. Go dye your hair bright blue, gain a bunch of weight. That's your choice as a free woman. But don't be too surprised if men don't desire you. Don't be too surprised if men aren't hanging off the rafters to date you. Most men are not enchanted and charmed by these things. Most men are drawn to things that make a woman appear feminine. Most men are drawn to women who keep themselves in decent shape. Men want to be proud of you on their arms. So why not put in the effort to make him happy? I definitely have a tomboy side to me as I enjoy hanging out with all the boys and the men in my family. But if you want to hang with the boys, you can, as long as you act like a girl. You can hang with the boys, but act like a girl and dress like a girl. So women really need to start looking more feminine and appearing more feminine if they want to attract men. But alas, the physical attraction is only skin deep and will only get you so far with authentic, quality, real men. Here's where a lot of today's generation of women are truly missing the boat. They assume that if they're obsessed with their looks and material, superficial things, that men are too. So they think that the way to a man's heart is to simply show up, look pretty, and he should be chomping at the bit to commit. This is so not true. Most men are actually a lot deeper than women think. It's because men, as it is, they have very little motivation to commit to a lot of women these days. So women need to do a whole lot better than to just show up with a vagina and boobs and think that that's the way to a man's heart. They are looking for a woman who is beautiful on the inside too. What else is important to make and keep yourself desirable beyond the physical and separate you from other women out there? Well, other elements that make and keep a woman desirable and beautiful on the inside are a depth of character, humility, authenticity, and passion. A woman who is comfortable and confident in her own skin is sexy to men as long as it's a healthy level of self-confidence and it isn't arrogant or narcissistic like a lot of women these days. Acting arrogant and entitled, like many women these days do, repels men. And this is where a lot of women today go wrong. They think they're entitled to everything, and they act totally arrogant, like narcissistic Instagram whores. Quality men are attracted to women who are authentic and real. Good men want to feel that a woman has a good heart, good values, and depth to her character. If you get all the right makeup, plastic surgery, clothes, and hair extensions to look like a perfectly polished Instagram model, but you're shallow as hell, well, you still will attract a certain percentage of guys, but they will also be the shallow and superficial type with little substance or true character. The second way to a man's heart, besides from being beautiful on the inside as well as the outside and having depth of character, is to inspire a man's commitment and greatness. It's not that intelligence isn't important to men. It is important to men. It's simply that men perceive and value intelligence differently than how women usually perceive and value it in men. Nearly all men want to be with a woman who's somewhat intelligent or who can carry a great conversation. They enjoy and value a woman's different perspectives, knowledge, and opinions. But very intelligent and educated women often misuse that. They push and shove their intelligence in a man's face and their accomplishments, and they try to use that thinking that that's the way to a man's heart, and it's actually not. It's not intelligence in and of itself that's the way to a man's heart. Because remember that above all, a man is looking for a lover, a partner, and a companion in a woman. They ultimately want a woman by their sides that they will feel will lift them up and be a positive contribution to their lives, not to feel like a drain or added stress. From all my research and experience with men, it is much more effective in attracting men and gaining their respect if you inspire men instead. Inspiration happens more organically and subtly. You inspire others not by trying to sell them, but by genuinely being a good person with a solid character and a good heart. Your genuine heart, your supportiveness, your values, and the loving way that you treat other people and handle situations are more impressive to a man than your 3 degrees or whatever college you went to. The goal is to have a man feel inspired by your character, not to stun and impress him with your intelligence and accomplishments. Try to feel that difference. If a man is attracted to you and charmed by you, he will take the time to get to know you, and he will see how intelligent you are on his own without having to call so much attention to your intelligence and accomplishments right away. All right, so let me just check in with the group here. So I'm just reading a little section for those of you who just came on about the ways basically to a man's heart and the kind of things that women should start to do these days if they want to attract and keep a quality man and to actually raise this birth rate a little bit. Food, it's through his stomach that's the way to a man's heart. Yes, we all know that that's the way to a man's heart, but there's got to be more than just food, right? What else is going to get him to feel that attraction towards her or to feel like she's a keeper? But I do believe there's a lot of truth to those old sayings, not to mention a lot of wisdom. Right, feed him and F him, right? And lastly, charming. Not enough women these days seem to understand what it truly means to be charming. Okay? Being charming means being pleasant and delightful to be around, reasonably easygoing and endearing. Part of that is having manners, being polite, graceful, and showing the ability to act ladylike when called for it. It means knowing how to be sweet with men rather than acting like an entitled, demanding biatch and expecting he'll just be smitten. Men of all ages report that a woman who knows how to act like a lady and who has basic manners, class, and grace is becoming more of a rare mythical creature these days than a 2-horned unicorn. I am aghast when guys give me the updates from their dates or when I personally oversee them, with women proudly calling themselves nasty women and with campaigns like the International Slut Walk or the Vagina Challenge. Classless, it's almost like there's a mission to encourage women to be as unladylike, classless, and vulgar as possible, all in the name of women's empowerment and branded as cool. The only problem is most straight, masculine men do not think vile behavior coming from a woman is charming or sexy. There's a reason why women back in the day were often sent to cotillion classes. If women wanted to attract a gentleman, then acting like a lady, at least when the time calls for it, was expected in society. Their graciousness and charm was, of course, alluring to men. It is women who are largely responsible for tarnishing that sense of sacredness a man has and a man feels around sex and the desire to have honorable intentions. Why would a man have any desire to pursue women for quality relationships who have such loose sexual boundaries, run around embracing slut culture, and carry themselves like second-rate dudes? Most men simply aren't inspired to give their intimacy and devotion to these women. But when a man is charmed by a woman, he feels enchanted, like he's under a spell, and he wants to give to her. Okay, so to quote Ludacris, be a lady on the street, but a freak in the sheets. So women need to start having integrity and virtuousness, right? Remember virtuousness, remember class, the concept of acting like a lady, and the concept of having some moral boundaries and integrity, some level of commitment and honoring men and respect for men. That used to be the norm back in the day. And then feminism came in and just destroyed all that virtuousness in women. So women wonder why men aren't committing to them or why the birth rate is low. This is not a mystery at all. This is very easy to trace back the causes of how this all happened. You know, you want to get respect from a man, you want to get love from a man, act like a lady. Be virtuousness. Uphold some moral values. Treat yourself with respect, and maybe men will too. DeAnna, you hit my soft spot with be charming. Nothing is hotter than a true lady. I agree. Be charming. You know, and ladies have simply lost the idea, the concept of charming. They're like, why would anyone, you go look at the International Slut Walk or the Pussy Hat Parade, and they are the definition of, you know, the antithesis of charming. I mean, they're the definition of vile and vulgar. And then they're bringing their little 2-year-old, 3-year-old children with them. They're going to learn all that vile behavior too. That is not ladylike. So ladies, I'm sick and tired of you acting like sluts. I'm sick and tired of you acting like vulgar, second-rate dudes. You're better than that. I hope you're better than that. The good news is there's a great population of women who do not subscribe to that feminist agenda and that love men and that treat themselves with respect and that do uphold moral values and virtuousness and charming. So we just need to get those women out of the woodwork into more visible light and link them together with the good men of the world so we can all live happily ever after. Mostly want to change the culture but want chivalry. Yes. If feminism is an abortion of Marxism, where did Marxism come from? One of the reasons I didn't complete school was because of impending debt. I've been in debt for many years. Or clone DeAnna a million times. Thanks, Russ. Hawaiian Tropic wants to date me. Thanks. Blowing you guys all kisses in here. And I'm just checking the chat room. What wrong did we do to women? I don't think it is the women who are our enemy. I think it is the people in power who are doing this. Absolutely. It's definitely that. They're controlling the puppet strings for sure. But unfortunately, women, the feminists have been useful idiots. You know, they've been the useful idiots that have been, you know, carrying this Marxist agenda, most of them unknowingly carrying the water for Marxists. They don't even realize that this is happening. They don't realize how damaging that they've been. And they don't realize that Marxism is even a thing. Yes, I agree, Chris Jackson. 2% of feminists are ruining it for 100%. Oh, that is very true. Very true. Well, guys, we're going to go ahead and wrap up. And I'm actually going to do a surprise podcast tomorrow. I have a really exciting guest. He's a former Navy SEAL, and he's the founder of an incredible group for men called Life of Valor. Life of Valor. And unfortunately, he's got such a busy schedule that he couldn't come on Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays when my podcast normally is. But he'll be coming in tomorrow. That's the only day he can make it. So I'm going to be doing a very special podcast tomorrow. And I'm going to post the time. It's going to be about 2 p.m., but I will post the time to all my social media. Make sure you check my Twitter so you can catch this very live special with former Navy SEAL Jeff Bramstein. And he is the founder of Life of Valor. It's a men's leadership group that's really, really cool. And they're basically combining scripture with men's leadership and masculinity in the world. It's something that's super aligned with my mission, and I'm really excited to share it with you. So stay tuned for tomorrow. I'm going to announce that in the next few hours when the exact time is going to be for my guest, Jeff Bramstein. And it's going to be a live interview. right here in my studio. So you can look forward to it. It's going to be awesome. I'm going to proceed with the closing prayer. Okay, ready for the closing prayer? Dear Lord, I pray that more women and men see the light and can open their hearts to love instead of hate. They can open their minds to unity rather than divisiveness, can open their minds to truth rather than lies. I pray for love and protection for our great President Trump and his family and all those working for us, that they remain safe and resilient in the face of so many forces working against them. I pray for all of you and the truth warriors out there of the world who are courageously speaking the truth and boldly working to bring those who are in the darkness into the light. The Lord says, put on the full armor of God so that you will be able to stand firm against the schemes of the devil. For our struggle is not against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the powers, against the world forces of this darkness, against the spiritual forces of wickedness in heavenly places. I pray that all of you find love, true and lasting love, and that God puts an incredible partner in your life to be with you during this journey and bring you the beautiful family and all the blessings that you deserve. And lastly, we know that good conquers evil, that love conquers hate, and that together with God's help and grace, we are able to make our country and our world great again. All right, guys, ladies and gentlemen, that wraps it up for today. I love you. Thank you for joining MAGA family, Make Love Great Again family. You guys are my family. And I can't wait to see you tomorrow and Wednesday. Woo! Seems like the 0.1% who rule the world. Goodbye, Samuel. Goodbye, Spinker. Goodbye, View O'Valley, Russ, Samuel, John Galt Gus, Johnny, DJ, and everyone else who is in the family today. Thank you so much, and I will see you tomorrow when I post my special interview with Jeff Bramstein, Life of Valor. Yes, old country music. MAGA all day, MAGA all week. Yes. I'm glad you guys like my show today. I love old country music. Woo! Goodbye.